Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, yesterday saw the opening of Parliament for a new session, and for the first time in 71 years, it was a king giving the speech to open it. It was Charles's first go at opening Parliament as king. He has done it as when he was the Prince of Wales, standing in for his mother, but it's the first time he's done it himself, and he stood there. Sat on his throne, wore his funny hat, and gave a speech. And a fine speech it was. And certainly it was quite good in the effect that it really annoyed the Scottish nationalists. God bless you, sir, and all whose sail is in you. Because he said that it was important that they strengthened the union. And that, of course, will be a direct sort of poke in the eye to all the sort of SNP and Alba and all the nationalists who want Scotland to be independent. And they'd lose the king. They don't want him. They want a republic. They want a Republican Scotland that stands alone in the world and immediately fails, goes bankrupt, crashes, burns. And will then come running back to mummy with the begging bowl out, going, "Please, please, please, sir, we forgot. We were desperate upon you." And that's when the king can sit there and say, "Fuck off," as is his wont. Anyway, we'll have a look at what he said. It's only a quick piece, just sort of. It's just a little bit that will give us joy because we know it annoys the SNP so very much, and that to me is worth its weight in gold, or indeed in very large diamonds that sit atop the king's head. Here goes. So King Charles vows his government will strengthen the union in a blow to Scottish nationalists. And you can imagine them all sitting there seething like that, going, moaning about it. How dare this king? How dare the king say that the union is important? How dare he? Of course it is. Everyone knows that. That's why more people want the union than want independence, because they know how important the union is. They know that being part of a larger thing is always better. Being alone, being stuck out there and having no one to rely on is not good. The old saying, it takes a village. Well, it takes a union, doesn't it? Anyway, the first King's speech in over 70 years has taken place at Westminster, with the monarch setting out the programme of legislation for the UK government. There he is, old man, funny hat, don't care about that. I don't mind Charles, he's got, he's all right, I suppose, never done me any harm. And he just sits there and he has an awful lot of... He has to wear some weird stuff though, doesn't he, eh? And it's a very nice seat though, it's a very nice throne, isn't it? It's a very nice room, actually, the House of Lords. I've been in it and it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's like that all the way around, all panelled. Lovely. Anyway, King Charles has vowed that his government will protect the integrity of the Union as he gave his first speech in Parliament since becoming the monarch last year. Charles promised UK ministers would strengthen the social fabric of the United Kingdom at the state opening of Parliament on Tuesday. And it is the first King's speech in 70 years, well, over 70, it's nearly 71 years, since the death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. The monarch sets out the UK government's programme for legislation in a ceremony dating back centuries. I don't know if you watched it. You get Americans watch it and they go, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" and all that. And you see him, Black Rod approach, and they slam the door, and then he has to stomp on the wall with a rod. And they go, "Who goes there?" "Black Rod." And all that rubbish that they do. I mean, it's all ceremonial, I suppose, but it does go back a long time, and it's all part of the theatre. Although some would say pantomime. Of government, but hey, it is what we do, and who cares? Anyway, the speech is written by the government, making for an awkward moment when Charles, an avowed environmentalist, confirmed ministers will support the future licensing of new oil and gas fields in the North Sea. Yeah, but much as he's an environmentalist, he does like the modern world and all the medicines in it, many of which come from oil. So take your pick, Charles. Anyway, he said the legislation was intended to strengthen the United Kingdom's energy security and reduce reliance on volatile international energy markets and hostile foreign regimes. Very good. Thank you very much. We all know. Did the video on that. We won't go into all the bits and bobs of his speech, but it's the very fact that he drags all these people from the Commons, sits them down and says, "Up the Union, up the Union." You see, you can't touch Charles. He's part of the Union. You can't touch Charles. He's part of the Union. You can't. Anyway, Charles opened his speech by paying tribute to his mother, and why the hell not, the great late Queen Elizabeth II, God bless her. And he said he was mindful of a legacy. She was my boss, of course. I served, and she was the boss. And I met her once, and she's only about that tall, tiny woman. And she walks past, and you're like, I was standing with attention, as you do. And I mean, didn't talk to me or anything, just walked past. Literally, I was that close to the Queen. And you're looking down there, and then you see her, and you're reminded that this tiny little frail woman, she's got armies. I was in them. It's like, hey, let's go to war. And we would, because we swore our allegiance to the Queen before all others, not to Parliament. And that's what you got to remember. Your allegiance goes to the Queen before it goes to Parliament. So the Queen says, oh, fuck Parliament, let's go to war. You've got to obey the Queen. It's a fantastic little thing. I mean, she never said that, of course, which I was quite saddened about. Anyway, Charles opened his speech by paying tribute to his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. He said he was mindful of a legacy of service and devotion to this country, set, he said, by his beloved mother, the late Queen, and that I deliver this, the first King's speech in over 70 years. Well done, sir. Well done. But to begin with strengthening the union, you can just know Holyrood, the SNP, Alba, they'll always sit there going, and growling at the telly. He went on to talk about the challenges facing the country, the impact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as well as the situation in the Middle East. The King condemned the barbaric acts of terrorism against the people of Israel. So we know which side of the fence he's on there, and he is no longer a friend of Humza Yousaf, who prefers to be on the Palestinian side, not the Israelis, for some mysterious reason. Charles, who also confirmed plans set out by Rishi Sunak to effectively ban smoking and vaping in the younger generation, which I'm quite happy to agree with. It's one of the few things I do agree with. And yes, I know people go, you've got to have rights, got to have the right choice. Yeah, 99% of things are the right choice, but on this one, I think no, just ban cigarettes. If cigarettes were brought out and invented today, they'd never even be allowed. So, get rid of them. Anyway, he said, my ministers will work closely with international partners to support Ukraine, strengthen NATO, and address the most pressing security challenges. This includes the consequences of the barbaric acts of terrorism against the people of Israel. And that line alone will put him on the opposition to Humza Yousaf, who is very supportive of those acts against the people of Israel. He said, I'm facilitating humanitarian support into Gaza and supporting the cause of peace and stability in the Middle East. It will never, ever happen. Because when the Muslims have stopped fighting Israel, they just start fighting each other. Because that's what they do, isn't it? He concluded the speech saying, my government will, in all respects, seek to make long-term decisions in the interest of future generations. My ministers will address inflation and the drivers of low growth over demands for greater spending and borrowing. All a load of old rubbish, we're not even bothering that. Right, just round this off now. The King's speech was the longest address by a monarch at Parliament for 18 years. Charles delivered the words in a neutral tone so as not to be accused of political favouritism. Something that may have been tough for a man used to speaking his mind. Well, as Prince of Wales, of course, he was entitled to do that. He's king now. He must keep stum. MPs will now spend 6 days debating the contents of the speech before voting on it. And the vote is merely a formality, with no government having lost it since 1924. Blimey, 100 years since they last lost a King's speech. 1924, George V? Must be, yeah, 1910 he became. Yeah, George V. 1910 to 1936. Then it was Edward VIII, who was like 8 months, 9 months, something like that. Never got crowned. Got kicked out because he was a Nazi. They made out he was because he was marrying a divorcee. That wasn't it. It was actually pro-Nazi. So no, he had to go. Then George VI, and then Queen, and then Charles. There we go. So his great grandfather then was the last one to lose a speech. Yes, great-grandfather. I had to think about that. Yes. So, yeah, great-grandfather was the last one to lose a speech. Anyway, there we go. So, we shall stop there, round off, come up and finish the video. But, yeah, I do like the fact that almost the first thing you said was strengthening the union. And there would have been MPs from SNP sitting there looking at him going, yeah, bastard. You just know, if it breaks their hearts, it's got to be good. Well done, Charles. Well done, Your Majesty. God bless you, Mum. I tell you what, I do love, I'm very pro. I mean, in case you might not have guessed this, but I'm very much a royalist. Having served in His Majesty's army. Well, actually, I served in Her Majesty's army, but you know, you do swear the oath of allegiance to her heirs and successors. So, His Majesty's Army now. Anyway, very, very much pro the royal family. Thank you very much for watching. Don't care. You might disagree with me. If you do, that's fine. I don't have a problem with opposing views. This is something very important. I want to get this over. I don't have a problem with opposing views as long as they're expressed in a polite and civil manner. Don't insult me. If you insult me, your comments are gone. But you can expose an opposing view. I don't care. But you know, that's how it is. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope you enjoy the video. Thank you very much. Do hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.